on stage we have Council Members Julian Beard, Council Member Jennifer Mazzotti, Mayor Foster Pettit, Ann Ross, former Vice Mayor, the Vice Mayor and future Mayor Jim Gray, the Woman of the Hour, Mayor Teresa Isaac, Council Member oh, I know the name. I was going to say an endorser of Jim Gray last night, Andrea. And council member and my favorite colleague on the council, Dick DeCamp. It was interesting, last night I got an email, I don't know what time it was, and I had not heard the news of Teresa's endorsement today. I know there's been a lot of expectations and a lot of hope that we would be here today. But what was most interesting to me was to see that Councilmember Andrea James had sent out a little message to her constituents saying, in all of my years, I've had one yard sign in my yard, and that was my own. Today, I put Jim Gray's yard sign in my yard. I want to walk back briefly 8 years ago. 8 years ago, 4 of us were on the same stage a lot. A whole lot. I had brown hair then, 20 pounds lighter maybe. We set up at event after event after event, neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood, and we talked about the issues. Vice Mayor Ross, Vice Mayor and now current Mayor, Teresa, our former Mayor, Teresa Isaac, and Jim Gray and I debated issues day in and day out. We battled back and forth. We talked about the problems and the challenges of Lexington, and we rarely all agreed on anything. Occasionally there'd be agreement amongst a couple of us, occasionally, but rarely collectively did we ever agree on the same thing. We went through that primary and 2 of us got through by the thinnest of margins, and it was sort of like going out to Keeneland and watching, you know, one of those horses in the back. You run out front as a candidate and you think you're about to get there, and then the stalking horse, who's always right behind you, comes sliding by at the very end. That stalking horse, the mayor, Teresa Isaacs, is probably, arguably, the most proficient, most compassionate political figures in Lexington's history. Let's give Teresa a big round of applause. And I placed second in that race. I also want to make sure I introduce and talk briefly about Ann Ross. Everyone knows Vice Mayor Ross for her work in the neighborhoods, working with neighborhood associations all throughout her career, even after she left the position of Vice Mayor. But something other folks may not know, particularly those of the younger generation, is for activities like the World Equestrian Games, the international involvement of our business community. Ann Ross was absolutely instrumental in encouraging and developing international relations both before, during, and after her time as Vice Mayor. It is the reason why Lexington, she created the foundation for Lexington having the opportunity to be the center stage of the international world through her involvement, and she needs a huge round of applause. Before I get to the 4th leg in the stool, our candidate, I also want to point out that the folks here, many who have served collectively decades on the Urban County Council. There are others out there who've also given their endorsement to the Vice Mayor, Jim Gray. The firefighters, our police, our correctional officers, our city employees. I don't think there's anything more that you can say when you talk about leadership and the importance of leadership in City Hall than having a leader who is a listener, someone who understands concerns, who will accept a diversity of opinion and the dynamics that are always at play when you're dealing with a multitude of issues. Teresa Isaacs, as mayor, served that interest. And today, I am proud to introduce to you Mayor Teresa Isaacs.